Any questions about that one?
Do you do all the talking in one take, or do you edit it?
No. I do it all in one take, and then I go back afterwards and cut out the flub sentences, the pauses for breath. So if you ever notice that at the end of a sentence I appear to be talking in an incredibly strained manner, like my lungs are on their last gasp, and then I suddenly leap back into full vigour, that was probably a moment where a short pause for breath was cut. We have a question over there?
Yeah. Do you practice talking that fast? I mean, I've always wanted to ask you that question. Like, will you feel like every day be like,
To be honest, I don't know where this ability came from. I mean, when I did my first review, everyone said, Jesus, you talk fast. And I was like, really? I wasn't trying. And so I just ran with it after that. So, and yeah, that's probably one of my faster reviews because I was kind of like into the idea. I mean, you know, not that it's not a fun job to have, but sometimes a review's just, you know, an average sort of review. So it's not so easy to get the kind of enthusiasm you need to build up that kind of speed. But I think the section that ended with the phrase "makes John Romero look on the ball" is probably one of the fastest I've been at in my entire career.
Did anyone from 3D Realms actually contact you?
God no, Jesus Christ. I don't know what those guys are doing, probably just loads of people just going in whatever empty warehouse 3D Realms used to be. Now, the Escapists don't really dictate what I do. I got pretty good editorial control because, yeah, as I said, sometimes just things are interesting. I think there's some things I want to explore, and sometimes there's a slower period, so I'll want to talk about like a retro game from the past that I've enjoyed. I did that for Silent Hill 2 and a couple of other things. Probably inevitably, because it can only go downhill, if you ask me. You may notice I didn't review any of the multiplayer in Call of Duty 4 because frankly I don't give a toss. Because I think multiplayer is still a fairly minor section of gaming. Not so much in Call of Duty 4. I mean, but what I've heard is that the average Call of Duty 4 player has 100 hours under their belt, but those people are freaks. Again, it's all to me. Early on, I had the Escapist mail order me some things, but that took so bloody long, it just wasn't really worth the effort. So these days, it's pretty much just whatever interests me. I mean, at times when times are slow, like I said, I'll do a retro thing that I'm actually interested in, and when there's a lot of games out, maybe I'll play a few and review the ones that are the most interesting to talk about. What I find is that if a game's really, really good or really, really bad, it'll probably make a good review because you can actually get passionate about it. It's just the middle ground that's a bit leads to things like the Wolfenstein review that was entirely limericks because I had to keep myself alive somehow. Australia's censorship board is a load of bullshit and chips. Because the censorship board is basically run by people who don't really get gaming. They don't understand it. They're old men. And if you say to these old men, "Hey, we want to release a game where you chop off a guy's limb and then use it as a condom," and they're going to go, No, we don't really want to look at that. I mean, what's been shown in the past is that if you actually take the time, like the developer actually takes the time to go to the censorship board and present the game and say, this is why we're doing it, this is what's going on, then generally they'll be easy going on it. It's just when they don't have context that their poor old brains get confused. But it's working out, Like, the controversy is getting around. People are starting to realise this is a problem, so watch your space, I guess. One more? What was the question? Do I make a list of these things?
Specifically, how do you come up with the material? What inspires you?
What inspires me? I guess just I write down something, and I think, oh, I better write down what this is like, and then I write down what it's like, and that's how it works. I mean, I am heavily inspired by a British journalist called Charlie Brooker, who's like the king of the scatological analogy. And it's just a question of knowing enough words for bad things, I guess. And, for example, who here knows what a rusty trombone is? Yeah, you can talk amongst yourselves about that. I'm not beating that on the mic. But one useful thing I found is to create portmanteau words, where you start off with a swear word, then you put another word on the end. It usually has a nice rhythm to it, like cock section was one I used in there, or fuck buckets. Ah ha 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 ha. This is Mr. Rough Expressionless. That's the name of the image file. Because it's part of a series of photographs by a photographer called Thomas Ruff, which I found on the internet by searching for Expressionless Man. And I've seen some of the other photos in the series that he did, and when you try to do an expressionless face, it's always like got something about it that's slightly emotional, like you got a bit of a smile or you look a bit startled. But that guy is the most deadpan face I've ever seen. It's the most actual, not a single trace of emotion in any feature, and I love him for it. I just kept coming back to him because it just makes me laugh to look at him. Because there's a lot of humour in deadpan. That's about as deadpan as you can get without being actually dead.
I know you mentioned in your Halo 3, I know you did Halo Wars and RTS, but have you ever considered doing RTS again?
Well, I'm doing Brutal Legend next week, but if you haven't played that game, you probably wouldn't know it's an RTS. Yeah, RTS isn't really a big thing for me, because what I really like is games with stories. Like games, and especially games where you're like a guy. So when you're some nebulous thing that you don't really know anything about, it's a lot less interesting to me. Like, I don't play like management games as much either. Pretty much, because I've only got a week to play the game in. I mean, some games I can play for longer when it's a slower period, but most times, not even a week. I just have like a few days because the game only came out towards the end of the week. I try to play it as much as I can, and if I don't think I've played enough, I'll usually make it like a first impressions review rather than a full one. Ah yes, I've been fielding that question a lot. Game Damage, of course, is the game like live action TV series that I've been working on with two friends of mine, Yug and Matt, who run the Australian Gamer website. Two very good friends of mine. And we made the first pilot, we put on YouTube, that was half an hour long, and we were like dreadful in that because we had absolutely no studio experience and we weren't able to workshop any of the skits. So it was about the best it could be with the budget we had at the time. But we made a second pilot because we thought we had a deal with a network, and they like funded a technical pilot. We thought it was like 99% cool, we were going to get the series, but after we'd made the technical pilot, they said, yeah, we're going to show it to like a test audience, we'll get back to you. But we took them a few weeks, and they came back and said, yeah, we're just going to the CEO, that's the final yes or no, just him. And of course he said no, because they changed their mind about changing their demographics, so kicking the balls there. But you know, we try to think positive about it. We've got a new pilot that's miles better than the old one, and with our producers shopping around with the network, so if anything happens, I'm sure you'll all find out. I just want to look on this half of the room because I've been neglecting that one. Yeah, was that the question? Yes, I love Portal. Literally, yes. That's the only game I've reviewed where I can't think of a single bad thing to say about the game. And you know, I feel like I'm not doing my job properly, but that's it. It's too short, maybe. But if your only problem with the game is that there should be more of it, then that's not a problem with the game. I don't really have a favourite because I can't tell what's funny. I can't tell what that I've written is funny. Because I think Graham and Ford and Skipper were saying something similar, like yesterday they were showing a lot of their stuff, and they showed like their pilot thing, and they were saying, yeah, this is crap. And I thought it was really good, guys, sorry. But yeah, it's just when you look at your own stuff, it's easy for everything to it's easy to forget what you thought was good about it. So I don't really have a favourite of my own reviews. The favourite of the reviews that was fun for me to make was probably the Wolfenstein one, because just coming up with the limericks was an interesting challenge that I enjoyed. How much time do we have? One more question. Okay, at the back. You mean what game system do I use most? Well, it depends, because I review games from everything. I got a PC, I got the handhelds, I got the PS3, the Xbox, and the Wii. If I have a choice, like if it's a game that's out on PS3, Xbox, PC, and lots of things, I'll usually go for the Xbox, because I really hate the PS3 controller. Those squidgy shoulder buttons really turn my arse. It's nice to have a shoulder button that you can hold down without your entire hand cramping up as you're playing it. Down about so I think that answers that. So yeah, I guess that's all we got time for. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you for watching Zero Punctuation over the years.